Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast where we review every segment of Raw and give you guys the wrestling news of the week, and there is plenty to talk about this week. My name is Turbo Tony. We're here with the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the pink and black attack, Matt Hitman Marsander.
Oh, don't put me in the same.
No?
No, I can't. No.
Too much. I've brought you up too much there. That's it. How are you doing this week, Matt?
Yeah, not too bad. Same old, really.
Yeah. We've got a bumper episode this week, and I'm feeling really pumped up for it as well. I for some reason, and when it comes to podcast time, I've been feeling under the weather the last couple of weeks, but this is the one where I've overcome said illnesses, and I feel 1,000,000,000%. Maybe that's paying a little bit too much, but
compared to last week, that's
yeah, still. And it's an exciting week for us. There's a lot of news, as I imagine a lot of our fans have already seen. We have new subscribers coming in this week. Thank you guys for joining along with the show. I'm sure that you will enjoy this week's incarnation as well. And we have 2 new segments this week. And usually you may be thinking, well, it's time for Superstar Spotlight. We're going to shake things up a little bit. We're going to add 2 new segments. Usually I'll probably put these as their own little segments on their show. But as it's the debut of both of them, I thought we'd do both of them on the show. And obviously we've got the Raw review and our news as well. We've got lots to get through. There is no point dawdling. The 2 new segments, I'll just explain what they are. We're going to do the fail of the week, where we look back at the hilarious fuck-ups, not of that week, I guess that's probably a bad name, but just hilarious botches and fuck-ups in wrestling history. We're also going to do a segment called We Were Wrong, We Were Damn Wrong, which is a little bit of the tip of the hat to Mr. Kurt Angle, where we take a look at an episode we've already done, where our predictions were off, and we're going to talk about why we thought where they were. We're going to talk about where things went on from now on, and what we're going to be talking about at the end of the podcast with that is we believed in the very first episode of LTW. I think it'd be quite interesting for people to hear the snippet of what we used to sound like. And we were talking about Ryback in the middle of his push, and we said that he was going to be the next big star of WWE, and we were way off. We were wrong. We were damn wrong about that.
Terribly wrong, yeah.
Yeah. So there are 2 new segments. I'm going to fit them in a little bit just to break up the show, so you guys should be able to enjoy that. The fail of the week, I think, is going to go over a lot of people. I think a lot of people will enjoy that. Anyway, news. Big news this week. Probably the biggest story to break out is that Spike chose not to renew TNA's TV contract, which means that they are currently still in negotiations with TNA, but as of now, TNA has no TV contract in America. This is huge news, negative news for TNA, impacting news, mind the pun.
Terribly, yeah.
See, we're less than 5 minutes in. I've already got a pun in there. See, there we go. Now, I can say categorically right now, without any sort of hesitation, if TNA can't find a TV slot on Spike or let's say another TV channel, which might happen, they might find a slot on another TV channel, they are dead. They are gone. They cannot live without a TV slot. It's like history repeating itself. WCW had a lot of the same issues. They had a lot of these stars on very elongated contracts with very high salaries. Well, it's high salaries for them anyway. And as soon as that TV money is reduced, that's a large portion of their funding gone. And you can imagine the Carters are going to be getting out of that company pretty damn sharpish along with that. Now, there is no way that TNA can sustain themselves without that TV funding. If they can't get any TV slot, they're gone. That's it. A lot of people have been saying, well, they can still go on live events. Well, their live events don't do very well.
They don't draw a lot of money through live events.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go as far as to say their live events are more often than not in the toilet. They really are. They're not raking a lot of money. How many pictures, Matt, have we seen of TNA crowds with half of the arena just completely empty? We've seen them time and time again, hearing stories of less than 200 attendants, which, when you look at independent shows, some of them can get higher than that, which is just hilarious. It really is. Now, TNA are in defense mode, as you would imagine. They've taken a massive hit. They did not see this coming. And they're stating that they're still negotiating with Spike, and I can tell that they're in defense mode because they're replying back to messages on their Facebook page about anyone that says, "Oh, the company's dying." Well, they're replying back saying, "Well, no, we're still on TV." So, well, people are a little bit more educated than that. TNA, you can't really get away with that. But as we said, this could be a no. This could be a no subject at all. We could find out in a week or two that TNA has successfully negotiated with Spike, maybe for lower money. In which case, they will still be on the channel. Or they, as I said before, it's very likely that if they can't get a deal with Spike, they will try and get onto another channel. Whether or not that will happen or not is something completely different. We broke the news last week that we knew that Vince Russo, was still on the company books. And Matt obviously sent the news over to me. That Russo, learning that Russo was still on the box was basically the final straw that broke the camel's back. It was
Definitely, yeah.
and I fully agree with that. I mean, they've since released Russo, but considering how they kept it secret before, no TV station will believe them of that fact. So that's a bridge they've burned, and it's going to take years for them to rebuild said bridge because yeah, that was very dodgy the way they did these things. I'd be very interested to see what Wrestle One has to say about learning about Russo, considering it was absolutely horrendous reputation, in that region of the world. He's no Japanese company is going to take him on anytime soon. Let's just say that.
Oh, no,
What's your thoughts about this, Matt? I firmly believe, and a lot of people may think of this differently. I think TNA will get a TV slot somewhere, whether it's on Spike or another channel. I don't see them not having a TV slot. But what do you think about this?
They better do.
Yes.
Simply enough. If not, they are going to be in big trouble.
Yeah,
and that's it. They can't afford to pay their guys on just live shows alone.
Yeah, the 200 tickets for a house show is not going to pay many of their guys on their roster. And they've been, like I said, in defense mode, they've been notifying all these brand new signings, elongated contracts that they've been putting in. I wouldn't really do that, TNA, if I were you, with this whole issue up in the air. But it's them trying to keep everyone sort of from saying that the company's dying and everything. They're not dead yet. If they don't get a TV contract, they are dead. That is the black and white of it. It doesn't get any clearer than that.
TNA British boot camp's kicking off around here again.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of fans seem to think as well that just from their contracts, where they still have a contract in airing their shows in England. Most of their revenue comes from the American audience. There's not getting anywhere around that. They lose that, they're done. There's no way of getting around it. So huge news with them. We're going to be looking up on that. It seems like each week there's a new page of this story that just keeps on turning. It started off with finding out about Russo, now finding about this. I'm sure something will come up next week. And TNA are in a bad state, which is ironic because apparently a lot of their shows have been getting a lot better. So bad news for them. But it's not just bad news for TNA. Big news again that broke this week is the WWE conference call that took place at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't announced their network subscriber count for a long time because they haven't had to. They haven't had to. But on this conference call, they have had to. They've had to announce their network subscription, and that subscription count, as it stands now, is 700,000. And actually, that's incorrect. It's 690,000 because they lost 10 more thousand subscribers since said conference call, according to sources, anyway.
Yeah.
For a lot of people saying, well, they've gone up by a bit. This is horrendous news for WWE. This is much lower than what they had expected, and I can guarantee you that. To the point now that WWE are looking to move their international release forward to help out with the numbers, which I think they should have done a while back anyway. They're missing out on money there. They really are. A lot of people would be buying it if it was available in other countries, and they just haven't done that.
It's safe to say you and me are two of them.
Yes, we'd be purchasers of looking into getting the network when it launches over here, which apparently will be sooner rather than later. We were originally looking at the beginning of next year, but it looks like now it's going to launch in October. That's a lot earlier than what we were expecting, and that is good news. WWE have stated that they need over 1.2 million subs to break even. They are obviously 500,000 away from that. They are struggling big time. They lost a lot of subscribers on this. They really did, and they only made up, I think, an extra 20, maybe 16,000, I think. Something along those lines. It wasn't more than that, definitely. They only made a positive of that amount, so a lot of people did leave.
Yeah.
Which is a big shame for them. Now, WWE, to facilitate this, we know that they've been losing money through just so many different angles. By setting this up. This is a large project getting set up, having this online service that needs to be top notch for them, and able to work in a streaming service nonetheless, of which they haven't exactly dabbled their feet in much before. So it's a lot of new infrastructure they've had to build. They've been talking of adding outside in advertisements to increase their revenue on their videos, which I think they were idiots for not putting it in from the very beginning anyway. As we know from putting videos up on YouTube, that you can put ads on there that are not only skippable, but they overlay the video. And I don't know why WWE haven't done a similar thing. Because that's you have to look at YouTube as the mainstay of viewing online videos, regardless
That's
of the
it. I mean,
streaming
if you sort of like, what's a company that can stream videos online that's really successful? Gee, I wonder.
Yeah. And I think WWE needs to strive to, let's face it, lot of the fans aren't going to be too annoyed if they have an overlay video that they can just click out of. It's not going to be very hard for them to do, and they'll be used to it anyway because YouTube does all that. That's a regular thing that happens. I just think it's silly that they haven't done this all along. I really don't think. They don't have to put advertisements in the middle of all their videos, and if they do, they can put a skippable option on there. A lot of people will just watch them just out of fact they might go get themselves something, and they still get the revenue and stuff. Because if you skip those videos, then the owner of the said video does not get the revenue, but still you will get some of it. And you can do as adverts that overlay the video. There's a lot of options for WWE. I just think they've been silly not to do anything from this point. If they do stuff like this, they won't need 1.2 million subs to break even. They'll need less than that. Easy. There's a lot of money to be made there. Very silly for them to be doing it. More news, obviously, WWE concerning the. They've released quite a few names over the last week. A lot of them were NXT. Two of the more interesting ones is that 7% overall of their crew at the WWE Stamford headquarters have been released.
Yeah.
And this is mostly to do with their magazine service, which has been discontinued. It's gone. It's not there anymore. They're not going to be making any more. Now, obviously, this is cost cutting because of the network launching, and it is a bit sad to see the magazines go away. I know there's a lot. The magazines are actually very well made. Of all the ones I've ever seen, they've always been very good. But I guess WWE's thought about it is that why would we need a magazine when all the information is readily available either on the network or on our website? And that's their thought about it. But it still is a shame. And like I said, we don't hear people lose their jobs or anything like that. A few NXT rookies, I guess what they were calling them, developmental talents were released. One of them was Slate Randall, who appeared on The Rock's reality TV show that I think was like their aspirations and stuff, and his was to be. I didn't have seen the show itself, but obviously it's to follow kind of in The Rock's footsteps, and WWE have released him. So much for that, I guess. I don't know how happy The Rock would be with that, but I guess it wouldn't really matter anyway. But one other name as well of the releases is Mr. Ricardo Rodriguez. He's gone, been released.
Yeah.
The last time
That's a shame.
It is a shame, yeah. The last time that we saw Rodriguez is working on the Spanish announce team. And I honestly thought as soon as we started seeing him on that commentary team that his job was much more secure. But obviously,
and he's on NXT as well.
Yeah, that's it. He was wrestling as El Local on there, but he's gone as well. So a lot more releases. It seems like every single week we're talking about someone getting released from the company. There's a lot of cost cutting going on with WWE right now, and they're not going to keep stopping from here. It's going to keep on going. In fact, JTG is releasing T-shirts of saying, "Damn, I picked up my phone." And you can actually buy them if you want. I guess a lot of the crew will be following said statements. They will put their phone on silent, shall we say, and just let them ring away. And hopefully WWE just forget about them. But they'll never get as long as JTG. Come on, 7 years with the company, JTG. That's impressive. No one will get that. So that's our news of the week. A lot of releases, a lot of big news. The TNA stuff is very interesting. But as I said, in my opinion, and it could go either way, I think TNA will get another TV contract, and I'm looking forward, obviously, to getting the network early. It's just I know WWE are trying to tout this as a win for their subscriber count. It is a definite loss. They were
totally.
They were hoping for, I guess, at very least 200,000 more subscribers than what they have now. So not good news for them, and I'm going to be quite interested in actually once we get the network to actually go into all the ins and outs. We may even do a review of the network as a whole and see how everything works on that end. Because
once we get hold of it, yeah,
once we get hold of it, it'll be good stuff. To our new segment of the week. I'm looking forward to this. Now, I spent a while trying to search for this video. It's one of my favourite botches in wrestling history, and it happens to come from the botchiest of all botch companies, WCW. They made a lot of mistakes back in their day. This is one of the more hilarious ones because it was trying to be a comedy segment in itself and ended up becoming more funny looking back on it than it had any right to be. And this week's fail of the week, which you can view, I can only find it on Dailymotion. I couldn't find it on YouTube, so you may have to search for it there if you want to see this particular segment. I'm going to set it up for you. So there's a match going. Chris Jericho against Wrath, who, by the way, did not have that long to do in WCW. Wrath.
Oh god, yeah, he was short-lived.
Yes, so short-lived. In fact, I can't actually remember seeing him in anything apart from this segment, and obviously for all the wrong reasons. Jericho was going through a stage where he was mocking Bill Goldberg. So he was mocking a lot of the stuff that he was doing. In fact, one of the times that he did, he stood out on the stage and he wanted the fireworks to hit him, but the fireworks wouldn't work, so Chris Jericho was blowing a gasket. Just funny little segments for this. But this is the funny part, okay? The whole plan of it is he's got a match with Rat. So Rat's already in the ring. Man, you don't get names like Wrath as a wrestler anymore. Chris Jericho, anyway, he's mocking, the Goldberg entrance where he starts out backstage, he marches through the backstage and then goes to the apron, the ramp, and then goes down that way. They show him coming out. So Chris Jericho, he's going left and right. This is all planned, by the way. He's getting lost. He's opening doors that don't lead anywhere. He's going the wrong way, and they go through like a break, So obviously during the break, he's still trying to find his way to the ring. And he ends up finding his way outside the arena, and the door locks behind him. So that's the whole thing about that. Like he was trying to mock Goldberg, but he ends up looking stupid himself, and he locks himself out.
I remember now.
Yeah, that's it. You know what I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing about this, you may think, well, actually, this sounds quite funny. And it was. Why is this a fail of the week exactly? Well, it happens because Jericho is trying so hard, obviously selling the fact that he's trying to get back into the building to obviously wrestle, that he bangs on the door. He's banging with all his might, telling people, let me in, let me in, let me in. And obviously, the whole point was Jericho to remain outside the building to make him look foolish. And one of the actual arena workers obviously heard someone shouting, let me in, let me in, let me in, and opened the door. And obviously the camera cut away very quickly because they were trying to make it out that Jericho couldn't get into the arena. Jericho didn't even acknowledge the guy. He started trying to open up a door, which did open, and Jericho had to slam shut quickly because it was meant to be locked. It doesn't end there. It gets funnier, right? So Wrath, after seeing this, gets so enraged, wants to give his wrath, I guess. He runs out to the back and kicks the door open. Jericho's obviously scared. He runs away. Wrath runs after him, and the segment is supposed to end there with Wrath running after him. But unfortunately, the cameras keep rolling. They didn't turn off the cameras, so Jericho and Wrath, after a little bit of a run, basically turn around and walk together back, quite nonchalantly back into the arena. Almost like they're joking about what.
Hello, kayfabe. Smash.
Yes. Hilarious stuff. A real bad mess up, mostly because of the fact that obviously someone opened up the door, so the whole thing of Chris Jericho not being able to get into the building, that was broken from the very beginning. And obviously the whole thing that they just didn't cut the feed as early as they should, so Jericho and Wrath are just walking back, even though they're supposed to be hating each other and all this. It's just funny stuff. Go search it on Dailymotion. It is absolutely hilarious. It is fantastic. And I will guarantee you that you will laugh your socks off. In fact, in the video I watched, it doesn't actually have the extra 5 seconds at the end of the video where these guys are walking back, but I have seen that. It was on the actual show, so funny stuff. I think what's funny about that, like we said, it was trying to be a joke, and it ended up being far funnier than I guess they wanted to, but that's WCW for you, and that's part of the reason I guess why Chris Jericho hop shipped out of that company into WWE. No TNA news this week. Funny enough, the news of them losing their contract and me getting all the notes down for all that stuff and keeping track of the news, it was hard actually to keep up with the actual show, so even more bad news for TNA, that their bad news is stopping me from watching their show. I will definitely, I promise you guys, I will catch Destination X. I've heard good things about the event. I'm going to watch it, so you will get a review of Destination X. So there you go. Have you got any NXT review this week, Matt?
I haven't an NXT review this
No
week.
problem.
No.
They didn't announce actually in the news that they're doing NXT Takeover 2.
And I have seen the card. I've seen 3 matches for it so far.
Oh, okay. I guess they're doing Tyler Breeze and Neville, are they now? Because I know that they.
Fatal 4-way.
Oh, okay.
Breeze, Neville, Zayn, Kid.
Okay. I would have preferred a one-on-one match, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll should be
True.
right.
Women's title, Charlotte and Bailey.
Okay, that's fine. That could be
And
right.
tag the Ascension versus Pass.
Two other guys.
The
that
Claude
get them over.
Devals.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a pretty weak card to me, unfortunately.
Compared to the first one, yeah.
First two, yeah. Now, still, should be alright. Should be okay. Should be good stuff. So, yeah.
But it's been labelled as Takeover 2. Or...
Yeah, it's been labelled as Takeover 2, which I think is a bit of a cop-out. No need to do Takeover 2, really. There's plenty of other names that are epic and awesome that you can give onto a tagline of that, but still. We'll definitely review that. There's no problem, we'll review that. But it's still quite far away. Still a while back.
Yeah.
So this leads us into our Raw review. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about. We're on the road to SummerSlam.
That's it.
A lot of stuff happening. No Brock Lesnar this week. But John Cena, yeah, as we expected. And John Cena is back, but he will be away next week. So they're keeping them apart, which for some people might say, oh, they need to have a fight in the ring. They only have to have that once, and that should be on the go-home show. So it makes sense to keep them apart. It's actually, the way that they've got it kind of helps them out a little bit, to be honest. The way they're going for this. But anyway. So Raw is from Houston, Texas. On the road to SummerSlam. So you imagine a rowdy crowd. The crowd wasn't that great, I have to admit. I've seen better Texan crowds. Arguably in San Antonio. And obviously when Shawn Michaels is involved. But still. Wasn't a great showing from them, at least. So, going into the show, for people that are new to, as we said, we've got new subscribers. We review every segment of Raw, and we even the small backstage segments. If we feel like we're wasting our time, then we'll tell you they're wasting our time. And there you go. That's how we go for it. John Cena opens up the show this week. No authority to open it. If it isn't John Cena, it is the authority, and the other way around. So John Cena back to opening the show.
No, we had Reigns the other week.
Oh, there you are. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. We can't really... Cena was part of that opening segment, maybe. So. Maybe I'm just pulling his strings down. I'm not giving them the credit they deserve. Anyway, he says, quite honestly, that the majority of fans want to see Lesnar beat the crap out of him.
I tell you, you feel bad for him. It's just like... And then suddenly he's just like, yay! It's like, you guys really want to see me hurt? Yeah!
At least he's a realist, though, Mr. Cena.
Totally.
Yeah. He says anyway that he knows that he'll get his ass kicked, but he'll beat Lesnar anyway, which technically is how their Extreme Rules match happened back in 2012. He just got destroyed Cena, and then Lesnar lost just randomly. A lot of people have called this promo from Cena fantastic, one of the best he's done in years. I'm not as hot on it. I didn't think it was groundbreaking by any means. I thought it was good.
I think the exchange was probably the best part of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, as we said, the exchange goes. So, as you expect, Brock Lesnar not being around, there's going to be Paul Heyman around to do the job for him. And as he does come out anyway, promo extraordinaire, Paul Heyman.
That's it.
He says that Cena has mighty words for someone that's about to become a victim. I love that line. Very good line. Heyman here in this promo is back to his best. Do you think of all the promos that he did where he got annoying for everyone just stating, oh, I'm behind Brock Lesnar and not speaking about Cesaro at all? It just seems like this is a program that appeals to him. Or like I said, you can't give Heyman nothing and expect him to turn it into gold, but if you give him something decent, he'll do it for you.
That's it.
And that's the pace here. He bigged up the match at SummerSlam. He really makes the event feel like it's going to be a proper fight, a clash between titans.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Which I think they're going to be sorely missed a lot of the time. That sometimes it just feels like these just match after match after match. You need to make it feel like a big conflict between these guys. And Heyman is better than anyone in the industry of making a match, a big marquee match, feel like it's going to be a war rather than just a match, and you did great here. Heyman said that that he's going to be victimized Cena, he's going to be pummeled. He's going to have his face beaten. That he's going to be absolutely annihilated. All these other stuff to say that Cena's going to get destroyed.
Yeah. All other hot words.
Yes. Cena fires back. As we said, this is the promo a lot of people are raring about. He got very, very, very passionate to the point of shaking, with rage and passion about, how he's always here. He's wrestling for the right reasons, and Lesnar's just a mercenary. Often when he does these promos, Cena, he teeters on a really soft line between passionate and idiotic. I do give him the props because I do believe this went on the right side of said line. It could have very, very easily gone the wrong way. And he does do it often, in fact. Have you ever seen him trying to wait to get a tag? And he looks like he's taking the biggest shit of his life because he's getting all these weird faces. He looks like he's in pain.
Waiting to get tagged. He's just like, It's like, oh dear.
Yeah, he overdoes a lot of stuff, but this was on the right side of the line. Cesaro comes out and probably has the best line of all of it. He says that Cena is a muscled up billboard. He says that you can't wrestle in those sneakers. Oh, but that's right, you can't wrestle, Cena. And that was a brilliant line, very good.
I loved it.
Whoever wrote that line, give them a pay rise, make them do more like that. That was good stuff. As much as I say, a lot of people go really about the Cena promo. I've heard a lot of people saying the Cena promo is brilliant. It's good. It's great. His promo is very good. I don't think it was nearly as good as a lot of other people are making it out to be, but it was good. I won't go away from that segment. It was all right. Far better than Lesnar could do anyway. So you have to give.
Oh, definitely. Unfortunately.
Yeah. A cracking opening segment, all things considered, because there was no weak links. When Cesaro came out, you thought, oh, okay, here we go. But he had some awesome lines. And it sets up a match between Cesaro and Cena. And we've seen Cesaro and Cena have a 5-star match earlier on in the year. So just seeing those two in the ring is...
That's it. I mean, it was actually rated in the top 10 of the year so far. So.
Yeah, and I fully agree with that. I thought it was a brilliant match that these guys had. Now, the match that these guys had was great. It wasn't as good as the match they had earlier in the year. But it was still good. A very, very solid opening to the show. In fact, it's probably one of the best matches to open a show in a long while. I will say that. It was very
definitely. Do you know one thing I love? I still, to this day, I still love Cesaro's deadlift superplex.
Oh, that is... He hasn't done it that much recently, has he? I guess it looks more impressive against foes that are of Cena's size, and he hasn't exactly been wrestling many of them. But, yeah... That's just such a good move in his arsenal. It doesn't matter how many times he does that, people are going to be impressed with it because it's just mental. They should just clone Cesaro and just find out what is he drinking over in Switzerland that allows him to do said things.
That's it, what makes him him.
Yes. So I do hope, because like I said, this match was very, very good, that in the future when Cesaro is on his push, he's had to wait for a while now, but he's on his push, then him and Cena can have a really good main event pay-per-view match that's 30 minutes plus, and Cesaro gets the big win at the end of it, almost like Daniel Bryan got,
yeah, that'd be awesome.
These guys could have a really good 30-minute plus match. I've got no doubt of that. And Cesaro's got a little bit of the Hitman in him, a little bit of Bret Hart, funny enough, considering I gave you that the introduction earlier on.
Intro, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed this, Matt, but he seems like he's having great matches with lots of different people. That's a calling card of Bret Hart.
Yeah, totally.
And, it doesn't matter if you're 6'10", 300 pounds, or you're 5'7", 200 pounds. I would want to wrestle Cesaro, because he's going to make you look like a real big star. Unless you're Kofi Kingston, but still. So backstage with Stephanie. Obviously, she was arrested last week. The hashtag jailbird was trending worldwide, much to JBL's chagrin anyway. She says that she can't see her children anymore over the disappointment of being incarcerated. Orton just doesn't have any tact, just interrupts Triple H as he's consoling his wife. Such a good husband that guy is,
That's it. It's just like, Hunter, fuck your... I don't give a shit about your wife. Where's my title? Rage. That's your boss.
Yeah, that's it. Orton's none too happy about the segment last week, where obviously he was promised to have the title match. Reigns got involved and took the title away from him. It was a good week for Orton, this one. We'll get into actually what happens here. Triple H says that, as you say, as long as Reigns is around, Orton won't get any future title shots.
That's it.
I thought they were going for a Reigns Triple H match. That seems like it's off the cards. It's going to be Orton against Reigns at SummerSlam. We know that's how this is going. Now, thinking of this match on paper is not very interesting, but they managed to make me interested with what happened later on. But the only issue I have with this is that, especially with Triple H says, "Oh, as long as Reigns is around, you're not going to get any title shots." It just sounds dangerously close to Ambrose versus Rollins for my liking. That's
it.
That's my only issue.
And unfortunately, it's true.
Yeah, it's essentially the same storyline.
Really. But it all plays in together, because it's like your plan A is hindered, your plan B is hindered, and that's how we've got, that's how we got Lesnar in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I would like, if I were Triple H, I'd say, okay, fair enough. You go tell Lesnar that he's not going to have a title shot.
Yeah.
There's no way Orton would get away with that.
No,
I'm good. Not. Yeah. But yeah, that kind of cuts off an impasse there. Triple H, Mr. as we said, great husband, Mr. Well, still needs to get processed. That's how I'm going to call him now. Paige comes out, funny enough, to cut a promo. She hasn't had many of these. She said that last week when she attacked AJ Lee, she let her emotions get the better of her, that she's young, it happens sometimes. She's still friends with AJ, and she'll never let it happen again. She'll never attack her. This brings out AJ, who says that she doesn't like playing little girl games. I can appreciate that.
The thing I quite like is, like, what did AJ call her? Like, her little Casper Crumpet.
Little Casper Crumpet, yeah.
It's great.
Sometimes the things that she says are so good that the crowd don't deserve to hear them. This crowd just gave her nothing for that, but I would have chuckled. And I'm British. Come on, I'd chuckle at that. That's
it. I think that's why we chuckled.
Yeah. So AJ tells her if you're gonna talk crap, then she'll do it directly to Paige's face. If Paige then replies with, if AJ doesn't believe her, then she's crazy. That's the key word, as we know. Go back to AJ's roots.
That's it. You're going to set her off.
Don't say the crazy word. And this builds up to a scrap between them, and they kind of fight with Paige bemused at why AJ was losing her shit, even though it's always like Paige was running the disingenuous face sort of gimmick in this whole thing. She knew what she was doing, sort of thing. I didn't particularly like the segment. I don't think you need Paige to drop the fake face stuff. Just go full heel by now. You could tell that when that happened last week, it was like all those shackles had been removed from her, and it's like, just stop it. Just let her be let her be heel, and that's fine.
That's it.
She can be a person that's constantly attacking AJ. She doesn't have to do all this fake friend stuff. That's done. That part of that rivalry is done. It doesn't need to be there anymore. I'd much rather she had spent the time in there to slate AJ. Just give a savage anti-AJ promo from Paige. Why she's going to beat her, why she'll never be as good as Paige, all this other stuff. Do all that. I think she's good enough to do it. But what about you? Did you particularly like the segment? Maybe more than I did?
Oh, I liked the segment. I guess we'll see.
Maybe I'm putting my expectations too high, because let's face it, I may say this is a meh segment. It's still better than anything that the majority of the Divas can put out, so it's fine.
I'm definitely looking forward to their match again.
Yeah,
I'm actually looking forward to this match more than I was the last.
Yeah, because it's going to feel more like a blood feud. It's going to feel like these girls want to rip their hair out of each other. And I want to see more beatdowns than that Paige gave to AJ. I want to see more of that leading up to it. Back and forth each week, one of them get one over on the other, and make it absolute hell rivalry between these two girls.
That's it.
That's the way I would like to see it go. So, after the whole Steph stuff earlier, Triple H and Steph come out. Stephanie looks like a scared little dog.
Yep.
Little puppy. Looking all very scared. Triple H says that he's disgusted at the fan response to Steph's arrest last week. That he heard people cheering, heard people laughing, and that he'll never forgive them. He'll never forget about what they've said. Good stuff. I actually quite enjoyed Triple H here. Sometimes he comes up with a promo that's a little bit underrated, and I did like how he went about this. He says that it was acceptable that Steph slapped Brie Bella. I can't imagine, in kayfabe, of course, that their lawyers being too happy with that statement, especially later on when Steph is begging Brie Bella to drop the...
it's like all charges. Like,
They asked Brie to come down to the ring and sort the issue out. And this brings back not Brie Bella, but a
Yeah,
man who made ragging on Steph a trend, Mr. Chris Jericho. If we look back to time before, Chris Jericho was the guy who made joking on Stephanie an art form, shall we say.
that's it.
He would eloquently insult her week in, week out, normally about the size of her breasts, but still. Couldn't get away with that in PG anyway, but still. He sings a little bit of a rendition of Bad Boys, which
Gets the crowd real.
gets
Gets the crowd going.
Yeah, good stuff. They should just have the theme tune in the background. Why not?
Yeah. Just like as he came out, just like wham, wham.
That's it, with the siren going off, no less.
That's it.
Yeah, and he proceeds to give a little bit of slagging off. This slagging off, as we said, it does not come close to his top 10 digs at Stephanie in his career. Fairly lame in comparison, but still good. I just like the idea of Jericho ragging on Steph. It just reminds me of the good old days.
The days of old.
The days of old. He points out that Triple H, as we said, waited to leave the show last week because maybe he's finally realised that Stephanie is a dirty, skanky. And before he can go on, Triple H cuts him off and tells him that there won't be any match with Bray Wyatt tonight. And then Seth Rollins comes out and attacks him and says it's going to be a match with Seth Rollins. It was an okay segment. It wasn't anything special. I think that if you'd given Jericho free reign, he could have really, really dug hard. But I don't think they had any intention of letting him do such a thing. And unfortunately, you kind of tell. I thought it was okay, but nothing special.
It was good for what we get nowadays.
Yeah, it was alright. The one thing I say about this particular segment, as we said, is just sometimes we can see hidden potential. I just think that like I said, if all the chains had been released, you just give Jericho a clean slate, you make up the funny insults, I think it would have been a lot better. It just stank of, this is what you're going to do, this is what you're going to say, and it just didn't really work very well. Still.
Yeah.
Rybacksaw and The Miz against Ziggler and the Usos. Now, at the beginning of this match, we've got Nation 2.0. I'm going to call them that until they give themselves a name. They haven't said anything. And until they get a name, that's just what we're going to call them.
That's it.
Seems what everyone else is doing anyway. I have to say, though, I don't know if you noticed this, it seems like every week they're adding something a little bit more to Miz's, celebrity gimmick. A little bit with his entrance every now and then they're changing, and stuff that he's wearing, he's coming down to the ring. Although
the thing I quite like is the fact that, like, originally I couldn't give two shits about The Miz, and now it's like I really hate The Miz.
Yeah. They've done a lot of work into getting him into a new style of character, and I can appreciate that. Now, I still stand by what we said a few episodes ago, and what we said all along, that Miz is never going to main event WrestleMania again, as much as he tries to convince himself that's never going to happen.
That's
it. But still, this isn't. He's having a new style to his gimmick, and I can appreciate that. That's fine. It's mildly entertaining. It's not wasting my time, which is, I think, is what we can settle for. JBL is doing his usual BS on commentary. He's saying that that Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro are taking time out of their day to say how awesome The Miz is, that it's the buzz around Hollywood. I can't really suspend my belief enough to say that.
I can't buy into it.
No. Can we imagine Robert De Niro at his breakfast table talking to his children, talking about how awesome The Miz is? I just can't see that happening. I just don't see it happening.
No, don't buy it.
Can't even imagine it in my wildest dreams. So Ziggler gets the win. A fairly regular match. Nothing
too amazing, no.
No, not exactly up to the 6-man tag match qualities of the Shield and the Wyatts, but maybe we've been
desensitized to it.
Yeah, maybe we've been just treated a little bit too much in this particular in this particular genre of matches. So the funny thing about this is that at the start of this match, Nation 2.0 are watching it on the screen, this match, and as the ad break comes in, they're suddenly at ringside, and that's all that they do.
Yeah.
So not exactly a electric beginning to these guys' stable. They're just watching people wrestle, which I'm doing that now. Are you and me in a stable?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think we are now.
If that's all it takes, then maybe that's the case. I don't like the way they've brought their stable about. If you're going to throw these guys together, they at least have some sort of semblance of a plan with them. You've got enough people on the roster to do something, but I just don't see it. It's just random, really random than them being there. Maybe next week they'll come out and attack a few people, or they attack the Usos trying to get the belts or something. I don't know.
That's it.
We'll see. The unthinkable has happened, ladies and gentlemen. Are you sitting down, Matt? Are you sitting down for this podcast?
I am.
All people listening to this podcast, I'd like you to sit down in your seat. Maybe listen to it while you're out on a jog or maybe something like that. I'd like you just to stay stationary while I drop this bombshell to you. The streak is over. Okay. Are you guys alright? Can we continue? Are you alright, Matt? Are you alright?
Don't care.
I know you're in denial.
Don't care.
You're in denial, Matt. I know you are.
Don't care.
But, yes, Bo Dallas against R-Truth. Bo Dallas comes out to the ring, and he says that R-Truth can never be undefeated like him, but one day he can be victorious. All he has to do is believe. Which, in my sense, because R-Truth did beat him, I think R-Truth is the ultimate believer. That's what I can take away from it. Yeah, that should be said. One thing I thought was very funny about this is that, Bo Dallas has his undefeated streak. There's one thing that can stop the streak: the ultimate finishing move in all of wrestling, the roll-up pin.
Yeah,
that's it. Even
that's
Bo
what
Dallas.
It was. That's all it took.
Yeah, not even Bo Dallas is immune to the roll-up pin, and so yeah, basically the whole thing about this match is that Bo gets the early advantage. He does his early victory lap, comes back into the ring, he gets rolled up for the loss, and Bo gets the mic afterwards, says that he can't believe that R-Truth was the one to beat him, and then he just attacks him,
beats the hell out of him,
beats the shit out of him. Which is all part of what Bo is. He's all smiles and everything, but when something doesn't go his way, he'll have a little bit of a hissy fit, a tantrum. That's part of his gimmick. That's what he does, as Mark Henry likes to say. That's what he do. Bo Dallas. Anyway.
Where is Mark Henry?
Don't know. And you think then they gave him a win over Ryback. Funny enough, because we're going to talk about that later. They gave him a win over Ryback, and then the guy was never to be seen again. But still. I think he's in and out of being injured, in and out of not really wanting to wrestle. When I think of Mark Henry, I just think that all of his passion for the whole industry is gone. It's a shame.
Yeah.
That retirement promo will go down in history as one of the best promos of recent memory.
The troll.
And if you go top 10 of Mark Henry promos, then that goes head and shoulders above anything he ever did in his entire career, ever before. It was such a shock. It's the equivalent of Great Khali coming out and performing the pitch perfect hip toss. It just ain't gonna happen. But apparently Mark Henry, it did. Lana and Rusev come down to the ring. A much more appropriate promo. It's still anti-American, but it's not referencing an act of which innocent people died. So that's always a little bit easier to stomach. They remind the crowd of who they elected before Obama, which was George Bush. That's something that we'll always point and laugh at Americans for. Come on, really? You voted that guy in? You kind of bring it on yourself a little bit, guys. Come on. But still, regardless. This brings out Swagger. We thought that this angle was done. We heard, by all intents and purposes, that they were too scared to continue this with Swagger and Rusev. But that isn't the case. Swagger comes out, and
gladly we accept it.
Yes, I'm very happy that they did this. It's got one more match left in this rivalry. It really does, especially the way they ended it at the last pay-per-view. So I thought it was a little bit silly. We said this last week. We thought it was very silly to end this rivalry where it was. We just didn't see the point. But we're very glad, obviously, that it's continuing from there on out. Zeb Coulter says that the American flag represents pickup trucks, pretty girls, and beer. It sounds like a creed that I could get behind. I'm sure you can as well, Matt. So
that's it.
If that's what it represents, you know what? I'm down with that. That's fine. I wish our Union Jack held some more reference, except for Casper Crumpets maybe. Rusev and Swagger have a brawl here. There's a really nice moment in this match, not in this match, in this brawl that they end up having. Where Rusev goes for his accolade, but then Swagger reverses it into the Patriot Lock. It's actually so good that I just don't know why they didn't save this for the actual match that they're obviously going to have now at SummerSlam.
I don't know.
I just don't know why you would have
Just
to do that.
idiocy, that's why.
They're going to pull it out in the match now. We've already seen that nice little counter be done. I just thought it would be a great moment if you've got Swagger locked in the Accolade. He's in there for a while, but then suddenly manages to worm out, gets the Patriot lock on, and suddenly the tables are turned. It would have been a really good moment in that match. I think they wasted a little bit in doing that here, but still. I'm just glad, regardless, that WWE didn't flush this feud down the toilet because of their own bad booking of it, because
That's
of one bad line they shouldn't have put in it. It would have harmed both of these guys. I really do believe that. Rusev will still win, but still. Good rivalry, got one more match left in it, and I do firmly believe it will be better than the first match they had. So there we are. Talking of things that we were talking about, stuff that WWE doesn't need to flush down the toilet. Let's talk about WWE that do need to flush down the toilet, and we never want to see again. And this is Damien Sandow against Adam Rose.
Oh God, yeah.
Houston, we have a problem. It's called Damien Sandow. He's mentally challenged. He needs to go see a therapist. There's something seriously wrong with him.
It's just shocking.
It gets worse each week. I don't know how they keep doing it. He says that he's been looking for signs anyway, for signs of intelligent life, but he can only find dimwits. Somehow, when listening to this, is somehow the insults don't have as much impact for a man dressed like a moron week in, week out.
Yeah. I sort of nah.
Being called an idiot by a guy in an astronaut suit just doesn't have the same effect as a guy coming out holding a microphone like a chalice, and just
commanding silence.
Yeah, it just doesn't have the same appeal. Adam Rose comes out, who gets absolutely zero fan response, none at all. I firmly believe that if WWE wanted his gimmick to work, they could do it, but they are in the same camp that you and me are, that I don't think is worth the time and effort. And I think WWE are kind of realising that, and therefore they're not giving it the time and effort. So why would you keep putting on the show? There we are. And I will go along with you, Matt. I've stayed on all this time. I've said that I don't know if I'm a rosebud. I don't know if I'm a lemon. I'm firmly now a fucking lemon. There you go.
Yep.
I'm happen to be.
Join me.
I put my hand over my heart, and I take the lemon pledge. Here on out, I do not want to see Adam Rose any further. And I fully agree with WWE's decision not to put too much stock in this guy. It's just, if you're not going to put too much stock in someone, why keep putting him out on the show every now and then? Just ridiculous, really.
Because why not?
This feud, if you could call it, is just ridiculous. At very least, we didn't have to watch much of a match with these guys because it ends within 5 seconds. It's over. Basically, Adam Rose uses his, was it party foul he calls it?
Yeah.
Stupid stuff, and pins him immediately. That's it. I can't pretty up anymore. I can't say, well, he used his left foot to do it. We can't. There's no way you can make this seem better because it's absolute fucking garbage. Why would you do it? It's smelly bullshit, and it's unfortunately. As just a little bit of a note here that it's so smelly bullshit that you could probably smell it from the deepest, darkest space of of the universe.
So in space, no one can hear you scream, but in space, we can see this bullshit.
Yeah, we can smell this smelly bullshit of Sandow and Adam Rose, and it's going to keep going on because WWE think it's good, and or maybe they don't. Maybe they just like torturing us. Maybe, possibly. But still, this is stuff like this is reasons why I think to myself, why do I have to watch a 3-hour Raw each week? I'll still advocate for changing it back to 2 hours every week. I know WWE won't do it, but why would I want to take time out of my day to watch an extra hour of Raw when this is part of that extra hour?
That's it. At least if you're going to give me 3 hours, give me 3 good hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, this moves forward to Kane against Reigns in what I have to admit, right? And I think a lot of people are the same, that I'm looking at the Reigns-Orton-Kane thing, really sort of, don't really want to get involved in this. It just doesn't really get me excited. So, as Reigns comes out anyway, Orton attacks him on the way to the ring.
Yep.
Reigns fights back. But any semblance of a match is going to happen. It's pretty over pretty quick, which is okay. I did not need to see Reigns against Kane. I wasn't exactly excited for that. Kane levels Reigns and then leaves the rest for Orton. And Orton shows a side that he just very rarely shows nowadays of him going absolutely bonkers mental, and decides he's going to talk trash to Reigns while he's beating the shit out of him. And if this feud was going to get interesting, it had to get pretty violent pretty quickly. And there's one thing you have to say about this segment. Orton was in his vindictive state. He was not Pussy Orton in this particular segment. And that's where he's more entertaining, when he's more of a competitor. He's not running around the authority trying to get stuff done. When he's being the Viper, shall we say. I think that's probably the best way to say it, really.
That's it.
When he's not the face of the WWE, when he's the Viper, he's much more entertaining. He RKO's Reigns twice on the table because the first time didn't break it. I count that as a victory for Orton in his long-standing rivalry with the announce table.
That's it.
I count that as a victory for you, Orton. There you go. There's one extra for you. You're losing still. So many times you've RKO'd someone on a table and it hasn't broken, but still, I still think that's a win.
At least his foot didn't fall through the monitor hole.
Yes, that's always good news. Or he didn't do that stuff at WrestleMania 13, which break his back on a monitor. That's also good.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that
bit. I watched Paul George in the basketball break his leg today. Oh God, I don't know. Some people listening to this must have seen it, but I broke my leg in a very my leg bent in a very similar fashion to this guy. Ugh, it's not nice.
Yeah.
Oh, but still, not for the squeamish. Do not be YouTubing Paul George breaking his leg if you cannot take a broken leg. That leg is pretty damn broken. So we should just say that. Anyway, talking back to this, I don't know about you, Matt. I liked this. I really did. This whole beatdown. If they're going to make this interesting, they need to make it a really high octane, violent feud between these two guys. That's the only way I can get into it. And what about you? Did you enjoy this at all? Did you think it was just more Orton, which unfortunately isn't a lot of people just have banked out of the guy completely?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking on it?
I am. I'm just sort of like, it's more Orton. It's Orton in a story again.
Yeah. Okay.
I
look on it a little bit more positive light, and hopefully they just don't go through the motions the next couple of weeks. I would like Reigns to come out next week and trade blows with him and really get violent. They don't have to have blood. It can still be PG. You can still have a violent, program with these guys. It just doesn't. It needs to be very high octane. You can't have these guys just trading one-liners with each other each week. People just won't get behind it.
Oh,
are you dying there? Yeah.
Sounds a little bit. Just the thought of Orton in another story.
Okay, it's infectious. Some would say, but they're all the wrong reasons. Anyway,
Totally.
Fandango against one of the Matadors. I say one of the Matadors because I really couldn't give a shit which Matador it was. I will say one thing to Fandango.
Where's the rest? Where's the other one?
I think he's injured. I think that's probably the only reason. I just don't. If he's injured, then why not keep him coming out? Maybe he's really badly injured. I don't know, but just keep him coming out, and he doesn't have to wrestle. You can have the other one do the wrestling. So.
Yeah, I don't care though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not exactly missing out on much on having one of the other Matadors there. It's just piquing our interest. I'll say this to Fandango: if you're having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. Fandango's got 99 problems, and his exes are 2 of them. So, yeah, hard times for Fandango. As the Matadors come out, you've got Layla and Summer Rae dressed up in quite interesting attire, shall we say?
In the Matador get-up.
They looked very, very stunning, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit here, I missed the end of this match, and I felt no reason to rewind it to see it. I
don't think I missed it. I just don't remember it.
Okay, so I guess there's no reason for me to remember. I just thought, basically the only reason I missed it is because I went to get myself a drink, and by the time I got my drink, the match was done. So There you are.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I did see El Torito headbutt Fandango in the nuts, and apparently have a heart attack because he was kissed by Summer Rae and Layla. So yeah, there we are. I'm surprised they're doing this sort of thing with no, I'm joking, of course, it's only light-hearted, but still, you can expect Fandango probably for the next at least a couple of weeks, maybe a month or two. He's going to have these 2 girls make his life a living hell until they come up with some other plan they want to do, and they'll probably just stop doing it. They'll probably just go to. They won't have like a big payoff.
I'll just leave it at that.
I don't see any payoff with this feud. I just think eventually they'll just go their separate ways, and they won't even interact with each other anymore.
That's it.
Nikki Bella and Steph are backstage. Nikki tells Steph that it's not often that she has to eat a plate of crap, but she hopes she gets used to it.
Yeah, I hope it tasted nice.
Nom nom
So,
nom nom nom. Poo
ugh,
poo. It's that smelly bullshit from Sandow and Adam Rose. Eat that and tell us whether you like it. There
that's
you go.
it.
Now, this whole segment could have done without it. WWE does like their 20-second random segments to move things along. They do like it. They have probably about 3 each week. This is a little bit garbage. We know eventually what I see happening anyway with this whole rivalry is that Nikki's going to eventually turn, and Nikki's going to be the person that ends up fighting Brie. It's going to be sister against sister.
Yeah.
Because of all the shit going, she's going to end up blaming Brie. It could go the other way. That's how I see things going anyway. But another segment I could have gone without. Another segment that is just. I've said I've disliking these a lot recently. It's Stardust and Goldust again.
Oh yeah.
I really hope for the sake of these guys that they're not just recording them each week, but they've
The worst
just
thing
done
is,
a batch.
I now agree with you completely.
Yeah, I told you, man. I told you it was going to get boring very quickly, very old. But anyway, in this segment, Stardust is doing what I can state is his best Sheldon from the Big Bang Theory impression. He's got like a blackboard and he's got all these numbers. He's trying to figure out where the cosmic key is. And Goldust shows up to tell us that they have it. I sincerely hope they're talking about the tag titles, and obviously the Usos have the cosmic key. And it leads to a competitive feud. When I say competitive feud, not with Rybaxel. Anyone but Rybaxel. Oh god! And even though it's been like 2 weeks, like almost like a month since, that Goldust and Stardust have been in the ring, that still hasn't been long enough for me to forget the series of matches that they've had with Ryback. So I have no desire to go back to that dark place.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, you've started now to. It's waning on you even more so. This particular weight on Stardust and Goldust to get back into the ring. Like, are you just like sick of seeing them now?
I am. It's just that point. It's just like, ugh.
I would like people to put in the comments of when they started getting annoyed with this. You could do it for a while. You could do it for a couple of weeks, but not for like upwards of. It's over a month now that they've been doing these.
Surely, yeah.
So not good stuff. Not good at all. Natalya and Naomi against Alicia Fox and Cameron. Cameron apparently showing off some of her new moves. She has a hair throw, and she can throw someone against the turnbuckle. I would argue that she would have. I argue that she would have needed to have learnt a lot more than that in the 2 years plus that she's been with the company.
You best be careful. We've got a badass over here.
Oh wow, yeah. Now, apparently, according to a lot of people, that the news, the scoop is apparently that Cameron is vying to get out of the wrestling business because apparently she wants to go start an R&B album. And all this other garbage that we keep hearing. But apparently, it's taken WWE officials this long to realise she's not very good in the ring.
Yeah.
I just don't know how they've not just randomly come to this assumption, that hasn't taken them. We knew this from the outset. Come on. We didn't even have to see it in a ring. You could know it just from watching Tough Enough.
Sensed it.
Yeah, we knew from Tough Enough that she wasn't very good. She hasn't exactly improved much since then. So, regardless of that, Naomi locks a nasty-looking submission here for the win. I like that. Pretty good.
Yeah, it was like a head scissors sort of thing, wasn't it?
It looked like a very, very savage MMA hold. I know it's not an MMA hold for anyone who says that, but it looked like it. It looked like a move that just really, really hurt. And that's always good. You need that in a submission. So many times Cena uses STF and it looks quite comfortable. Like you're not actually in any pain whatsoever, but still. I don't remember Natalya spending more than maybe a few seconds in the ring at the very beginning. This match was over well before it really began, which I'm fine with. Really, I don't really. We were saying that last week. Natalya was in a match with Emma, Paige, and AJ, and it was like Natalya got back to her wrestling roots. This time, not so much, shall we say. Still, Naomi and Alicia Fox are alright, but Cameron anyway. The thing about Cameron, right, and I've said this to Matt during the week, and you guys are going to be quite shocked at this. I have watched the first 2 episodes of Total Divas. The very first 2 episodes. From start to finish, I have watched Total Divas. Now, I didn't actively look to watch Total Divas. In fact, my wife was watching. If you actually go back and listen to that episode of The Extra we did, she said that she was going to go do it and watch episodes of Total Divas and relay the messages back to me. for the podcast, for you guys, so you guys know what's going on.
Yeah.
Man, that is total bullshit. What goes on in that? Just utter bullshit. Come on, E Network are famous for their fake reality shows, and this is just no different. It's quite funny. It really is. The idea that Eva Marie, when she's told to get blonde hair, as she goes to get the red hair that she now has, and WWE management are fine with it, they're happy with it, just makes me laugh. If anyone else had done that and if it wasn't part of a show, she would have been fired on the spot. There's no actual statement, It's funny. If you watch it, it's just completely false. A lot of the stuff, it's exaggerated reality. And that's all they are famous for, I guess. It makes them a lot of money, so there you are. And yes, I kind of did have a little bit of a brain aneurysm watching it. I don't see myself actively searching for any more Total Divas as much as I...
You've instantly searched for more than that.
Yeah, yeah, no more Total Divas for me. Anyway, I'll relay the messages back of anything that's interesting, but no, not very interested. Moving forward to something I am a little bit more interested in: Jericho against Seth Rollins.
Oh yeah,
man, this is a match I was excited for. The match was great. It was good. I enjoyed it. There was a moment.
It turned out the main event.
Yeah, it was the main event of the show. I hate when WWE do this. They don't bill a match as a main event. They could easily say before, "Well, and this match is your main event," make it seem like something, but they never actually do that anymore. It's a bit of a shame, that even if they know that match is the last match on the show, they just don't build it up as the main event.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a shame. Unless it's John Cena, of course, and then he's in the main event, and it's just I don't know. There was a moment here. I don't know whether you caught this, Matt. Where the three on commentary managed to make things very, very randomly awkward. I don't know if you caught this. It was like they were talking about this Stephanie McMahon stuff. They were talking about what Jericho had said, and it was just very random. It was just like the three of them didn't know what to say, and it just got very awkward watching it and listening to the commentary because it was like they got at a deadlock. They didn't know what to do. I don't understand why Vince doesn't take his team, his three-man commentary team, tweak it so it doesn't happen again, because it isn't the first time that's happened. It often is a time once each week that this happens, where there's a very awkward moment where JBL is trying to get his point across so much and with such ferocity that King and Cole don't know what to do. Don't know what to say back to him, so then there's just a deadlock where no one really knows what to say. It's very awkward to listen to. I don't remember any of these moments happening with JR and King on commentary. It was like they were in
That's because JR's a professional.
Yeah, it's like they were in a tennis match, just knocking statements backwards and forwards to each other on a really good rally. But it looked like it happens too often where JBL goes on one of his rants, which get more and more nonsensical each week, and then it's just very awkward. I don't know why I don't know why Vince doesn't take his team and tweak it and doesn't allow that to happen again. But still, Jericho code breaks Rollins off of the ropes in what I could only think of was a very HBK / Shelton Benjamin knockout moment. Remember that awesome super kick they did years ago? Reminded me a little bit of that.
It was very close to that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Man, there would not be many more just unexpected what the hell moments than that HBK Shelton Benjamin
out of nowhere. I think the most recent one like that was probably Randy Orton RKOing Evan Bourne.
That was the man, that was years ago now, isn't it? Just thinking of Evan Bourne.
It was Evan Bourne.
Yeah, exactly. Back when that guy was in prominence, that's a very long time ago. So the Wyatts interfere and they bring the pain. One thing I noticed here, so they basically attack Jericho. One thing I did notice here, Bray is looking much, much better. His eye does not look nearly as bad as it has.
Oh, you can still see it.
But it's, I imagine by SummerSlam that will be cleared up, which will be good for him, because he's looked on the wrong side of a real bad shiner for a couple of weeks, so in regards to that.
I think it kind of adds to him.
Yeah, I don't think it's as damaging maybe as WWE think it is, for a guy that says that he welcomes war, he drenches himself in battle, for him not to have a few war scars.
That's it. What's wrong with the black eye every now and then?
Exactly. Yeah, it makes the fight seem a little bit more realistic, if anything. Having a few war wounds. The amount of times that we see people get, damaged or cut open. How many times have we seen guys blading, unless you're New Jack, of course, and they've got a fucking pizza head, and they don't look like they've taken any damage the week after. I don't want people to be permanently scarred, but adds to the legitimacy of wrestling and the whole suspending of belief.
Signs of war.
Signs of war. That's probably the best way to put it. The final segment of the night was probably the hottest one. Steph comes out to deal with Brie Bella, so she's explaining all of her strife, that her children are getting teased at school, and that the board of directors won't look at her properly because she's
parents won't let her children come round for play dates anymore.
Just quite funny. Just the idea of Steph and Triple H being in a play date, just quite funny. Let's go play with shovels, kids. Anyway, Brie comes out. Reminds us of last week's promo. Was pretty much a one-off. Her promo here was very, very wooden again. She hadn't had 4 weeks, over a month to rehearse this particular promo, I imagine.
It was just shocking. It was like the closing section of terrible acting.
Yeah, it was back to her old ways. Unfortunately, her old ways were very, very wrong. Very, very bad.
She has a very awkward way of delivering the final word. Like when she's trying to get her point across, and it's just like, yeah,
just like it's like what it reminds me of is a little bit when you talk to people and that every end of the sentence they go up and it's like they're asking a question. So it's like, and we're talking about Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, and my name is Turbo Tony, and we're here with Matt Marsander, and it's like, oh, I hate that, but it just reminds me a little bit of that, but still
exactly like that.
Yeah. Steph here is basically, without Steph in this promo, there would be no promo. She is basically keeping it up, and she's doing fantastic.
Totally.
Yeah.
But the worst thing is, it's just like, oh, well, I'm going to walk off. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to walk off. No.
Yeah. Essentially along those lines. And so Steph is, as you say, now Steph is asking her constantly to keep dropping all the charges. Brie says that she has demands, so she's going to give Nikki a raise, and she wants her job back, and finally she wants a match with Stephanie at SummerSlam.
I don't know how she can get her job back. She quit.
Yeah, that's it. But still, she can get her job. She can rehired.
No, she can get her job back. But it's just like, it's not like you wrongfully fired me. It's I quit.
Yeah, exactly. What I think is quite funny about this is I think all the faces always do this about trying to get their demands over. Is that they never say, oh, okay, and I want assurances and a law-abiding contract that you can't put me in handicap matches and all this other stuff that she's been doing with Nikki Bella all this time. It's like, oh yeah, give me a job back so you can legally slap me now. Just a bit funny, really. So Steph is dead against it. She's showing more acting skill than all of the Total Divas crew combined. That's one thing I could definitely say. And like I said,
including Natalya?
She's horrible at acting, even on that show. Her skill is in the ring. Shall we say that? Okay. She's tearing up, and we realise she's faking all along. She slaps Brie, and says she will make Brie her bitch.
More mentioning of the word bitch.
Yes, they love bitch. Bitchy bitch.
So they still bleeped out bitch from last week.
Yes, that was very funny. I thought it was very odd that they bleeped bitch, and yet they still that's their go-to word now. That's the PG swear word, bitch. Anyway, a brawl ensues with them between these women. They can't keep their hands off trying to fight each other. And a segment that I thought was pretty unique in ending the show, because you don't very often see a female rivalry end the show. And it is a hot feud, but by God, it's a hot feud because of Stephanie McMahon. That is the only reason why this is hot.
Yeah, it's a hot feud, but I don't care for it.
Yeah. Without Steph doing excellent work on the mic week in, week out, this would not be a rivalry that anyone would want to see. And they've managed to make something out of it, and you have to give Steph props for that. She is the best heel in that company at the moment.
Totally.
Even more so than Triple H. She's more hateable than Triple H. She's doing her job better than her husband, which I think is very funny. So
I think she's more hateable for Triple H because she's a McMahon.
I just think she...
I think it's tough to sort of really hate Triple H when you consider, like, the King of Kings and all that lot, and, like, the entire career he's had, where Steph has always been I'm the boss's daughter.
I'm the billionaire princess. I don't know
That's
what I'm
it.
saying.
She's always played the lofty, high and mighty, regardless of the role.
Yeah,
So
and she does. And one thing you would say about her, she plays that role to perfection. There's not a
yeah,
lot of people that can play that
it's because
role.
she's playing her life.
Yeah, exactly. And when the best parts in wrestling is when you draw off real life inspirations, real life feuds.
Exactly.
Sometimes that's where you get the best stuff. You look at the best moments in Raw in the last 5 years. Arguably, is CM Punk and his contract expiring, and him having that match
The
against John
pipe
Cena.
bomb.
The pipe bomb, yeah, that was all stuff that I've got no issues in saying that a lot of that stuff he firmly believed. You know,
Oh yeah,
he wasn't
totally.
just saying a lot of stuff. That was from the heart that he was shooting. A lot of stuff that he has genuine gripes about.
You could tell in the delivery of it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's often where the best stuff can come from. So fair enough. One thing I would know here at the end of the show, JB Noble got a chance to end the show. JB Noble because he was out there
Oh
breaking up
yeah,
these girls. JB Noble, I'm just waiting for the Joey Mercury chant. Waiting for his chant. Why not? Because they're out a lot. I mean, Joey Mercury's been on Raw more than he has been in the last couple of weeks than he has been in his, the last 5 years. So
that's it. I suppose even like Fit Finley as
yeah,
well.
Finley, he's out almost every week now, and Jamie Noble,
Double A.
yeah, that's it. Double A Anderson. No one will ever do a spine buster better than Double A. That's the way it goes.
That's true.
So that's the show, all in all. I thought it was a show that suffered from a little bit of mid-month hangover because it's in the middle of a pay-per-view, but I've seen worse mid-monthers before. So, when you
I
put
think
it,
it did the job.
it did the job. Yeah, I've seen, like I said, although it's not a big like. Sometimes, often what will happen on Raw is that the show, it will be horrendous for the first hour, and the last 2 hours it will claw it back. Whereas this was
Yeah.
kind of average all the way through. It had like it wasn't of a amazing quality, and the peak of quality was at the very beginning with that Heyman and Cena
Yeah, and
segment.
with the Cena
And with
Cesaro match.
yeah, that was definitely the best match of the night. No qualms about saying that.
Yeah,
As good as Jericho and Rollins were, I always get the feeling with Jericho that he can have better matches with these guys if he's just got more time. And yeah, while the same can be said for Cesaro and Cena, I still think that Cesaro and Cena had a better match. That's just my opinion.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the Raw review this week. I don't give it a thumbs up. I don't give it a thumbs down. It's just a mid-monther, and
That's it. It just sits in the middle.
yeah,
It was enough to sort of keep an interest, get a story a little bit further on,
yeah.
and that's about it.
That's it. And next week we'll have Brock Lesnar back, I think, and Cena's going to be gone, and it'll be very interesting to see what will happen there. I personally would like that Orton, as we say, as he's so annoyed that he's lost his title shot, take his gripe up with
Goes
Lesnar
for Lesnar.
and just and gets absolutely dicked by Lesnar. I'm sure there will be a segment next week if Lesnar is on the show where he attacks someone, because you got to remind people of how devastating this guy can be. I'm sure he can
Oh, yeah,
bring
definitely.
someone out like Heath Slater. He's always beaten up Slater before. Give someone out like that, and he can just annihilate them, and that way, get over his ferocious nature and stuff like that. So
That's it. Just like you sort of step off and just go, I am Lesnar. Time
That's
to tear it up.
that's it. We've had our awesome Heyman promo with Lesnar in the ring. Now let Lesnar do the work. Let him do the beatdown and remind people of why he is the Beast incarnate. And that's
That's
the way to
it.
go
He,
about it.
he defeated the streak. Remind us why.
Yes. Now, maybe he'll go against R-Truth, the Streak Breaker against the Streak Breaker. We don't know. That would be a match and a half, I think.
That would be the end of his career.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a clash, shall we say? No, we're joking, of course. I don't want to see R-Truth against Brock Lesnar.
No, not interested.
Not interested. So we go to our extra segment of this week, the last segment of this week. Now, sometimes, as we said before, we do Superstar Spotlights. We will still do that. We'll probably do it next week. If you've got any any wrestlers that you think that you want us to do a Superstar Spotlight on, then leave a comment below, or any questions that you'd like us to answer. They'll be answered on the next podcast. You can also follow us as well on @TalkWrestlePod. I know I've plugged that before, but just so you guys remember as well. So this is our new segment, our second new segment of the week.
Yep.
We got it wrong. We got it damn wrong. And
And we did.
we did, yeah. I'm going to put in a clip of our podcast, and that's going to basically state of a statement that we've made, and we're going to explain about why that obviously is very, very wrong. So I'm going to play that clip for you guys right now. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how like I said, the
the Ryback Punk thing. I think that the way that I think it's going to end, I think Ryback's going to win. I think he's going to be champion. I think he's not going to be champion for long. I think that once he wins the title, because the reason why I say that, right, and a lot of people might go, "Oh no, you need the title on Punk. Like he's a bigger star." I think Punk could take the hit. I think the Punk could take the hit, and he's good enough on the mic to work it around to make it seem that he didn't really lose.
Punk doesn't need the title at all.
Yeah, he doesn't. Whereas
he's a competent enough wrestler.
Yeah,
he's a competent enough mic worker that whatever happens, he will always be. He wasn't champion when he did, obviously, hit what is now known as his greatest pipe bomb.
All right, so you guys are back from that clip now. You heard that. That's the very first episode that we ever did. Can you imagine that?
Nostalgia.
Oh my good God, that takes us back, can we say? And then we're talking about Punk against Ryback at Hell in a Cell. This is Punk's, Ryback's first loss, that match, and this is huge at the time. Ryback was getting cheers each week. Feed me more, feed me more.
Feed Me More was massive.
It was getting huge at that time. In fact, I think it got catchphrase of the year at the Slammies. Not that has anything sort of statement on it. And Ryback himself, he's still fairly green, unfortunately. I think he got thrust into this situation way too early in his career. I think ultimately, when you look back on it. But the statement that we said is that we thought Ryback was going to be the next big star that WWE had. You look at where Ryback is now, and we were wrong. We were damn wrong.
Oh, definitely.
He is so many light years away from ever getting back to that point. In fact, I permanently believe Ryback is too permanently damaged to ever be at that.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I don't think he ever will hit that sort of pinnacle.
No, never.
Because it's now just sort of like he was a mid-card guy, just like I'm the big guy, I'm the bully, and now it's just like. Now I'm in a mid-card tag team, and I think that's about it.
Yeah, and
that's pretty much all it's going to be.
And some weeks he can't even get on the show, and it's just...
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that they obviously, the whole issue about Punk is that Cena got injured, if I believe, and they had to have someone to fill the role of going against Punk during this time.
Yes.
And they decided what would do. In fact, it was Cena, because I remember having a promo where Cena gave Ryback his title shot, and that's how this all came about. Now, obviously, on that match, Ryback was he lost his first match because Brad Maddox screwed him, yeah. And then that would bring a rivalry with Ryback against Punk that he would never win. He would never recover, and he would never beat Punk for the belt. Later on, Punk went on to lose the belt to Rock, and that's how it went on from there. But yeah, he never continued his rivalry with Ryback. Ryback basically was stuck in limbo. He got into a rivalry with Mark Henry, of which he lost. Ironically enough, he got pinned,
and then won the Monday after.
Yeah. He got pinned at WrestleMania, and as you say there earlier on when we were talking about Mark Henry, what a waste that was. If they still had any indication of making Ryback a big star, why would you have him lose? And then obviously the night after WrestleMania, he went heel. He attacked John Cena at the end of the show in one of the best Raws in history, because that was an awesome Raw. In fact, I think that's the Raw that Dolph Ziggler cashed in. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was. And that was the beginning of the downfall, because once you get locked in a rivalry with Cena, there is no way you're coming out of that looking good. Ryback got absolutely trounced 3 matches in a row, and that was the end of Ryback being involved in a top main story.
Bye-bye, big guy.
Bye-bye, big guy. And then obviously, as we know, he became a Paul Heyman guy. Probably one of the worst Paul Heyman guys in recent memory. That's including Curtis Axel. At least Curtis Axel won a belt while he was a Paul Heyman guy. Ryback did little to nothing except get beaten up by Punk, funny enough. Even more beaten up by Punk.
Oddly enough.
And then obviously, Ryback's always pretty much where he is now. I still think they're not going to be tag team champions. There's plenty of other teams that will take that from them. And Ryback will never ever get to that mark again. I firmly believe if they have any desire to, I just don't see why you would put Ryback above Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose. Which is ironic, because Ryback was fighting those guys for a lot in his rise, so I think it's quite
a match with those against and Team Hell No.
Yeah, exactly, which was an amazing match.
What a match!
Probably the best match he's ever been involved in. I will say that categorically. And unfortunately for him, it was for a lot of the stuff that the other guys were doing, but he still played his part, Ryback. He still was fine. But yeah, we were wrong. We were damn wrong. We thought that WWE would not squander. And you look back at the time, and you may think, oh well, you look at him now, and you think, why did you ever think this guy was going to be big stuff? You look at the chance this guy was getting. He was over. I don't care anyone says.
Definitely.
He was over. Maybe not to the internet wrestling fans, but definitely to the general wrestling public. He was over, and that chant was getting over very, very hot. And they completely botched. He went to something like a year's worth of pay-per-views without ever winning a match. And then obviously I think he did win a match eventually.
I think there was one that I saw somewhere, and it's like the last match that he'd won was one of his like handicap matches.
Yeah.
Like when he first started out. So sort of like the last pay-per-view was when he was doing handicaps.
Yeah, when he
to
was
sell himself
people.
as a big guy.
Yeah, he was squashing people week in, week out, and having like a 3-on-1 or 2-on-1 handicap matches at pay-per-views and stuff. But yeah, he just lost so many matches. This is what we said with Reigns losing his shots for the title, how damaging that was to Ryback. And I firmly believe they won't make the same mistake with Reigns. I think he's a better star than Ryback ever could be. But it is worrying because you look at the same thing that happened with Ryback. Eventually, people just didn't buy into him. He lost too many matches at the big event. It was almost like, yeah, this guy's good, but he can't win the big one. He could never win the big one, and he never did.
It.
In his entire run there, he never won a big pay-per-view match.
Do you know what? I completely forgot about that 3 Stages of Hell match.
Oh, what was Cena?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got stuck through the ambulance.
That's it.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. That was, as we say, that was the last moment where Ryback was involved in a high-level feud. And a lot of this fuels the circulation. What a lot of other people say about Cena. You get locked in a rivalry with this guy, you won't come out looking good. The most recent one is Bray Wyatt. He came out of that rivalry looking bad.
Well,
yeah, I'd say he came out of the Cena rivalry worse off than when he did coming in.
Okay, yeah.
And obviously Ryback is a big statement of that as well. I would not want to be, as a rising star, I would not want to be, like, if I were Roman Reigns, I want to keep myself as far away from John Cena as physically possible for a while. The only guy that actually got the better of him is Daniel Bryan. You look at Daniel Bryan has exactly the best couple of months since then, so regardless of that. So yeah, we were wrong. We'll say that. We'll hold our hands up, and every now and then once we find something that we're wrong, we'll go back, show you a clip of a former episode, and we'll explain why we're wrong. I still think, back to this time when I look back at it, I still think they could have made him a star. I just think he was mismanaged. I don't know why WWE decided to do that. Maybe they just realised that we've got all these rising stars coming up that will be bigger than him. But I still think that you could have given him a chance. You could have made him a legitimate competitor. And that way you've got a big star. It doesn't have to be your biggest star, but you've got a big star that you can use.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's nothing.
No, he's nothing. Apparently WWE weren't too happy with his ring work. That he was a bit botchy at times. That he was a little bit reckless. And a lot of other stuff came up, especially with his Twitter outbursts and everything. That was the kind of final nail in the coffin. WWE and a lot of other people never looked at him as main event material, and I firmly believe they never will. So there we are. So we were wrong, we were damn wrong. A new segment on our show. We won't do it every week. We'll bust out every now and then. The Fed of the Week will be a weekly thing because there's so many just for WCW I can find for that. So I'm sure that will go on for a while. But yeah, that's our podcast for the week. I feel like we've weaved in and out with style and grace with our words for this week. A lot of big news to be broken there. Is there anything else you want to cover this week at all, Matt?
No, I've got nothing else I can think to add.
I think we've covered it with as much descriptive knowledge as we can for you guys. If you guys did enjoy the podcast, then please leave a like. Subscribe if you're new to the podcast. If you did enjoy it, we really appreciate that. As we said, we get new subscribers each week, and we really do thank you guys for helping us share the show and support it. I know some of you guys are helping us in terms of sharing the show around. Do really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. If you want to leave any messages, leave a comment. But if you want a more instantaneous response, then follow us on Twitter at TalkWrestlePod. If it's not on the video thing, because sometimes I forget to put it in editing, it'll be in the description, and you can catch all the stuff there as well. Matt posts up some pretty funny stuff. The funniest thing you've ever put on there was the Sin Cara botch compilation.
That was terrifying.
Terrifying, but brilliant nonetheless. Still good stuff. But for now, me and Matt are going to be out of here. We've got another week now until we talk about more wrestling. I don't think there could be more big news that could break next week, but who knows? It's wrestling. Could be a lot.
Unless TNA really just go down the toilet.
Yeah, TNA decide that they're just going to officially closed their doors, in which case, lengthy conversation. I'm going to watch Destination X. That will be there for TNA, and we'll watch Raw as well. Hopefully it'll be a better one. We are on the road to SummerSlam. One thing I will say just quickly before we do wrap up, doesn't SummerSlam just feel like rematches of a lot of stuff that's already happened? I don't even notice that.
It's currently looking that way.
Yeah. This is one of the things that we said about the last pay-per-view. A lot of their stuff that they're doing for that pay-per-view were stuff that we thought, just wait another month. You know, the first Swagger Rusev match, you can have that there.
Patience.
Yeah, patience, guys. And then you have Jericho against Wyatt again on that show. And obviously you got Paige against AJ again on that show.
I hope I hope there's a lot of stipulations for SummerSlam.
I do hope so. There's no point in doing the same match twice. Give us something different. So anyway, dawdling again. We're sidetracking as we always do on this show. Yeah, as we said, if you do like it, leave us a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys again next week. We hope you have a great week.
Okay, see you soon.
Alright then, bye bye.